we go, ECE 103, Child Growth and Development. And we are in week 3. Fabulous week 3. On our discussion boards, be sure to reply to your post before Sunday at midnight for those points. Please know that when you turn stuff in, one of the first things that we see when we're grading your paper is that time and date stamp. And you can tell a lot for that. Sometimes I have people sliding in at 11:59 getting it turned in. Sometimes I have people turn it in at 12:03, and I go ahead and give you full points for it because you almost made it. Try to get that by midnight, and be sure and take your quizzes before the deadline is Sunday at midnight. Guys, I've seen grades go down a letter grade or more with students that miss the quizzes, so be sure and hit those. And remember, you've got unlimited attempts with those, so if you're not happy with your first attempt, take it again. I've had a student take a quiz up to 10 times until she got 100%. I thought that was fantastic. We'll be discussing the final project a little bit more tonight, just a refresher. I'm going to go over a little bit about 3 to 5-year-olds is one of my favorite age periods. 3 to 5s are great. There's Opal. Hello, Miss Opal. Hi. I'm glad you made it. There she is. Okay, question of the week, everyone. Can I make up quizzes? And I just brought that out. In case of an emergency, yes. Illness, accident, family issues, extreme weather impacting internet, electricity outage. And I have had all these happen with some of my students in my course. Things happen. We will work with you. We don't want your grade to suffer because you had one bad week. We know that life gets in the way. So communication is number 1. Contact me. Let me know what's going on. When we had that crazy power outage a few weeks back, wasn't it, where I had quite a few areas impacted. I got lots of emails. So just please let me know what's going on. And I'll have you pick a time and a day that's best for you as far as making up the quiz goes. And I'll generally ask for you to give me a 2-hour time window. So, for example, you might say, hey, Wednesday would be best for me from 8 to 10 o'clock p.m. That's when I can really focus and take a quiz. So that's what I'll do is I'll set the quiz to come up at that time for you so that we can get that made up. So very important. I have some people that don't even ask. Be sure and ask. Getting the answer no is not the worst thing in the world that can happen. Just getting that yes answer can make a big difference in your grade. So I don't think I'll go over all of this because we've talked about our final project and making a developmental flyer and choosing an age group, and that you need to have all of these requirements here. So I guess right now I'll just stop and ask if anyone has any questions on the final project at this time. Do you have anything that you're unsure about? Or maybe you've started on it and got stuck a little bit, or you haven't started at all, but you are now. Not yet. Okay. It's not too huge of a project, but you will have to iron out some things here and there. And whenever you're creating flyers, I find that the hardest thing is getting your format right. Trying to get it to look the way you want it to look is sometimes a challenge with the computer. So be sure you allow yourself time. Right? Final project, be creative, develop something a parent would be interested to look at and to read. You want to catch their eye. You want it to be easy to read. A minimum of 3 pieces of clip art or graphics. Make it visually interesting, good quality, and be sure to use Word, Google Docs, PowerPoint, or Publisher to create that, because those are all things that I can pull up easily on my computer for grading purposes. And tonight, we're going to talk about 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And I love these little guys. Oh my goodness. Does anybody have a 3, 4, or 5-year-old in their home? Your son is 3, Sarah. Awesome, Kyle. You got a 3. And Patty, how old did you say your granddaughter is? Oh, she's 3 as well. Well, bingo. We picked the perfect age group. So you guys, what I love about covering the different age groups is when you have one that is that age, you connect with it so much deeper. And Kyle says he has a daughter that's 3, son is 9, and a 12-year-old. 3, 9, 12. Multiples of 3s there. Well, wonderful. Well, let's talk about these 3-year-olds that are in your life. You may or may not have noticed some of these things. That at 3, they grow a little bit more slowly. They slow down a little bit. Starting to get those longer arms and legs, starting to not look as toddlerish in their body. A little bit better motor skills, strength, and accuracy. They can play some of those outdoor and indoor games that are physically using the larger muscles. They understand difference in sizes, like large to small, and colors. They can generally recognize a lot of colors at the age of 3. They use language to express complex ideas, ask and answer questions. And you know what I notice the most out of the 3-year-olds is the number of questions. They seem to be limitless. They're fairly cooperative, and they really like to help at this age. They're curious, which again leads to more questions, and they generally like trying new things. Not all of them do though. A huge number of no answers. Yes, sometimes that happens as well. So what can they do? What are their self-management skills that they have? One thing to look out for is that their appetite really varies at this age. And you know, Patty brought up one time about her granddaughter having food jacks. So those of you in this class that also have these 3-year-olds, do any of them have food jacks as well, where they sort of seem to eat the same things and don't want to branch out too much? We don't have any jaggies. I had shared that my husband at about this age started eating nothing but cheese sandwiches for about a year. They couldn't get him to eat much of anything else. So some food jacks last long. Some may be just a few weeks or so, where they want nothing but chicken McNuggets, or maybe they want nothing but fruit. So it's not unusual. It's very common, and we just sort of roll with it. We do. They eat smaller quantities, and so the 3-year-olds are going to sit down and eat a big meal. Donuts and fries. Oh, those are yummy things, though, Patty. Exactly. And the textures are similar in both of those too, so she may be drawn to the texture. They eat smaller meals, but more often. They seem to graze all day long. They help to wash themselves, care for toiling needs. They don't do the best job, though, so we still have to sort of monitor that. Must still be supervised for this, of course. Is able to dress self with some assistance. Take pride in helping adults with simple tasks if they can. So these 3-year-olds, especially when we're hanging out around the house, we've talked about this with 2-year-olds, it's important to give them choices. So the fact that they are now able to dress themselves, we also want to give them those choices of, well, what do you want to wear? And they get to pick out their clothes and dress themselves. And that's a huge sense of pride for them, that they've gotten to pick these out. They may not match at all. It may be some crazy outfit, but hey, if we're just hanging out at home, that's just fine, right? Hi, Jasmine. Okay, so our 4-year-olds, moving right along. One of the big things that stand out for our 4 and sometimes 5-year-olds is they've gone rounds of colds and the flus and all the little illnesses that we pick up along the way. Are we getting sound okay? Okay, my face is just frozen in the goofy. Hi, Jasmine. But at least we've got, so when they're really little, birth 1, 2, 3, it just seems like we go from one cold to the next. And it doesn't necessarily matter if they're in preschool or if they're at home even. It seems like they're still just building that immunity because it takes time and we have to go through that process. So by 4-year-olds, we're getting a little bit better with our health. Gain more control over motor abilities, maybe do a little jumping, a little more running. Understand simple cause and effect situations. Have strong feelings of independence. Yes, at 4. They think they can do anything. Chatter constantly and ask endless questions like our 3s can sometimes do. Very curious, eager to try out new things. So this is a great time for arts and crafts, for science projects at home or at the center or both, because they're really sort of soaking it in. And they seek out a lot of adult attention and approval. Now, not as interested in eating. Again, at 4, we're slowing down in our big meals. They want smaller amounts. They may eat 5 times a day instead of 3, and that's just fine. They like to help with the meal preparation. So can you guys think of something that a 4-year-old might be able to help out with during meal preparation? Or something you could let them do? Make cookies is always fun. And what's one of the best things for them to do when you're making cookies is stirring, mixing pancakes. Exactly. You know, that stirring process with the bowl, that's good for large and fine motor skills and not so dangerous, right? Now, there are some great safety knives out there, though. You could have them cutting soft things at this age, such as fruit, and they like to mimic whatever you're doing. So, Jasmine at 4, mixing pancakes, yes, and you know, if you follow certain safety guidelines, you might even have them flip a pancake too, and they would love that. Want to help with household chores, which brings up chores for 4-year-olds. I think it's very important that kids get to take part in taking care of the home because it's their home, they're in it. Helps build the skills that they're going to need later on in life. And some kids are like me. Whenever I clean other people's homes for a living, what I would love is that when I was done, I could instantly see the results. So kids, when they're helping out around the house, can see that we've gone from a messy room to a clean room, and they can be really excited about that. So at 4, they can generally pick up some of the big things in the room, help fold the washcloths or small items, and you have to resist the urge to not refold for them. Oh, Sarah says, my son likes to hold the dustpan while I sleep. While you sleep, he hates it when I do it without him. Oh, that's great, Sarah. So he really likes sleeping. I love that. You never know what they're going to be drawn to. Watering plants, putting away their own clothes, especially if it's indoors, helping dust is a great thing. And you can just spray a little bit of whatever cleaner onto the rack and then flip and do the lower levels. And helping load the dishwasher is great. And mine at this age, too, like to help load the dryer. So I would hand things to them from the washer, and then they would get to throw them in the dryer. They love that. So, yes, there's chores that we can do with this age group. And I started paying mine for chores at about this age too. So I didn't want them to just help around the house. I wanted them to start getting the idea of you work for your money, and if you do a good job, you earned it. So they would earn like a quarter or so for helping out around picking up their bedroom and stuff. 5-year-olds, friendly and outgoing depending on their temperament. Remember we talked about temperaments just this week or last week. Exhibit reasonable self-control. So they're able to begin taking turns fairly well at this age, learning, that hitting's not nice, learning to not run in the hallway. There's all these self-control issues that they have to grasp. Using motor skills to achieve complex tasks such as writing, building, and drawing. And I started looking at our discussion board on writing, and I really like some of the ideas that you guys came up with on teaching a child how to write their name. Very creative. Are becoming increasingly self-confident, grasp some abstract concepts, but they're still very much in the real world. More concrete. They're a little more articulate, a little bit more imaginative, and that's why it's so important that we have that dramatic play area for this group. Some self-management skills. Handle eating utensils fairly well, pretty good skill there. Help prepare food again, and self-serve. And what I've noticed with some of the larger daycare centers around Tulsa is that more and more use the self-serve or family serve method at lunchtime. So instead of going into the lunchroom and getting your tray with all of your stuff on that, they actually set at tables with bowls of mashed potatoes and french fries or whatever meat we're having, maybe spaghetti and meatballs. That's a weird combination. But anyway, you get the idea. They have bowls of food at their table. They're allowed to serve themselves from the bowl to their plate. And it's more of a family eating time. And I really love that they're going towards that with our daycares. Careless at times with clothing, hand washing, and getting dressed. So if they do need a little assistance. Manages toileting fairly independently, not perfect though. Whenever I was till about first and even second grade, they would still sometimes have accidents. Sorry, guys, it completely went away. That doesn't happen very often. And now I'm froze up again. What a glorious night. love and hate computers all at the same time. I'm guessing storm related, I'm not sure. I'm glad nobody went away. Thank you guys. Oh, did she? Oh, there's some more on the way, huh, Patty? Some huge storms up there. Well, we better get wrapped up here so we can get in our hidey hole if we need to, right? I'm here now. All right, great, Kyle. Fantastic. Okay, so we ended with has some difficulty getting to sleep, 5-year-olds. And, you know, this is an issue, but it's perfectly manageable, actually. And it just takes a little planning. I've known some families with households where there's still up and the TV is on at 10 o'clock at night and there's still the lights are on in the house and they just can't understand why their young ones can't go to sleep. Well, that's part of it right there. So where you start with is, you know, about an hour to an hour and a half before bedtime. Baths do help them relax a little bit. A nice warm bath, get to play, kind of come down, get out of the bathtub. Nice, good, warm jammies ready to go to bed. And about an hour or 30 minutes before it's bedtime, that's when TV needs to go off. Exactly, Patty, not a sugary snack. Milk helps sleep as well if they're tolerant to milk. The main thing is bringing the activity level down in the house. And yes, you do have to kind of do it for that one kiddo, and that's fine. But the TV, the lights need to come down, turning off the overhead lights. And what happens there is your body then releases serotonin or melatonin that triggers your body to say, hey, it's time to go to sleep. And certain age groups, there's a little bit of a dip in melatonin. So we need to help them along with getting asleep. It happens again with teenagers, same thing, and it happens again as we get older. We don't produce as much melatonin. And the good thing is, it sure does, Patty. It really changes your sleep schedules. It makes it harder to get to sleep at a certain time and to stay asleep for very long as well. So know that these are things that naturally happen. And with these kiddos, the key is getting that activity level down, getting the lights down, having that bath, having that snack, and get into that routine so that it happens that way almost every night. And if you really want to be consistent on the weekends as well. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about exactly being consistent in everything. Handedness. So you guys tell me, do I have any lefties in this group? Any left-handed people that are on live lecture right now? Nobody? No. Not me. Kyle, no. Oh, are you left-handed, Kyle? Sarah, your brother is? Opal, are you left-handed or right-handed? Kyle, you're both? A lot of people are. Yeah, you're ambidextrous. Opal, you're right. Yeah. And oftentimes, if you have a lefty in the family, there are others like you as well. It seems to be genetic. So I'm left-handed. My grandmother was left-handed. I have a nephew that's left-handed. So I'm red-headed with blue eyes and left-handed. I'm pretty much a unicorn. It's very unusual. I think they say about 2% of the world has that combination. So I had all those strange things that when I was growing up, I just knew it meant that I would never amount to anything. And I had a weird name. So Shani, left-handed, and Freckles. You write left-handed, but bat shoots basketball. Right. Kyle, I do the same thing. About the only thing I do with my left hand is write. I don't even cut with scissors with my left hand. I use my right. So it's a different world for us, and it's hard to understand. However, once upon a time at NSU, they got this whole truckload of new student desks to go into this new building that they had built, a new technology center. And somehow all the left-handed desks, the kind that support the left hand, but then it's open on the right, those sort of mini desks. All these left-handed desks wound up in one room. And the first night of class, you should have heard the belly aching coming out of there, of the right-handed people having to use the left-handed desk. And we kind of went, see, now you know what it feels like. It is different. There's dominance. It's genetic. We let our children choose now. And, you know, it used to be they would really push kids into being right-handed. Oh, you write with your right hand. Oh, no, Kyle. Okay, left. Gotcha. So it used to be they would really force you. Did you, Patty? See, that was, well, it was what we thought at the time. It's what we thought we should do. You know, make them change to conform to what everyone else is. But now we know it's important to let them pick because they will have a dominant one. Oh, and your mother-in-law was left. Got you. So we buy the appropriate equipment. There are left-handed scissors. There are left-handed notebooks that the spiral is at the top of the page instead of on the left-hand side. Because when you're writing with your left hand on a spiral notebook, your hand is always resting on that spiral part of the time. And as you write, your hand smears the ink. So I always had ink smear all the way down or pencil on the side of my hand. Help children to not feel different about being left-handed. In fact, you can do the opposite, make them feel a little special. And a little note down here, reading problems and dyslexia are often more common in left-handed children. And I'm really not sure why, but that's something that they've come out with in the last few years. They are, Patty, you know, around 4 or 5 or so is when we really start to see a little handedness come out, exactly. That they're more solid. Before then, it seems like they can sometimes go back and forth, but they will start to choose that more dominant hand. Okay, fears and nightmares. Another thing that comes up quite a bit with our 5s. Fairly common at this age, and we worry so much about this. They will usually outgrow it, and they think it's linked a little bit to their increased awareness of their surroundings, their imagination. But you know, something else that's in there are the things that they're seeing. You never outgrew it, Kyle. You have to have a nightmare from time to time just so you know your brain's still awake there, right? You never know what those brains are going to come up with. So little kids, that imagination is really stirring and building at this age. And, you know, we do have to do a little bit to shelter them from some of the things they're seeing because we don't want to increase those nightmares because they've seen violence. Maybe they're seeing the violent videos. Maybe they're seeing rated R movies. With scary things that even add to their normal imagination. So that's where kids have to leave the room. We don't watch that movie on video games as well, Patty. Exactly. So we do have to sort of watch this. Their fears often include loud noises, unfamiliar sounds, animals, shadows, and the dark is a big one. When mine were small, I had kind of a lace curtain over their window. And I thought it was beautiful. They could see the outline of the tree at night, and come to find out it was super creepy to them because they could see the tree moving. They thought something was outside. So we had to quickly cover that window because they were not comfortable. So management, be patient, be compassionate, provide opportunities for the child to talk about their fears, encourage them to act out or reverse what's going on to lessen the severity of it. Don't get on to them for having these. This is nothing they can control. Oh, Kyle, I have a 190-pound Great Dane that sleeps at the foot of the 3-year-old's bed to keep her safe. Oh, well, that should do it. 190 pounds. I really need to see this dog. I'm going to need to hug that dog, Kyle. So identify and reduce the sources of stress, the things that are scaring them, and establish their bedtime routine. So again, consistency is coming back out. Okay, we're almost to the end, guys. 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, let's focus on our 5s again. Unintentional injuries. They're a little more curious, they're a little more energetic, they're probably playing on some different things than they have before, larger playground equipment, they're running faster. Oh, and he's 13 months, Kyle. Oh my gosh, he's going to get bigger. Wow. Their motor skills are still developing, limited understanding of consequences. So they don't really understand if they jump off that wall, they might break arm, leg, finger, hit their head. They don't really understand the connection there. And that's where we still come into play, that we have to watch them, keep an eye on them, let them know when they're doing something that they might get hurt in. So we maintain a safe environment, and we closely supervise them. We don't want the unintentional injuries, right? All right. Any questions this evening, guys? I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up because, goodness, my video seems to be lagging a lot this evening. I keep getting little frozen bits here and there. No. Exactly. Everyone stay safe from the storms tonight. Watch the news. Have your phone nearby. It's a little weird for us to have storms like this in August, but it can happen. We roll with it. We're okay. Most of us, I know some of you aren't. Arkansas, Kansas. I have some from out of state as well. All right, guys. I'm so glad you came. Please have a great night. Always email, call, text, Facebook if you have any questions, okay? Good night. Good to see you. Good night, guys. Thank you, Sarah. Good night, Jasmine. Bye, Opal.